Fantastic, thank you. That just means that anybody online participating, I know that they can hear what's happening in the schoolhouse. Okay, let's begin with a call to order, please. I am Ed Holland, I'm chair.
Kevin Welch.
Angela Hay.
Happy.
Okay, thank you. Item 2 is for oral communications for items not on the agenda. I know there may be some things coming along that people want to speak about, so I'll open that up, please. I think, Angela, you maybe had something?
Yes, I went to the budget committee with the town manager, Darcy, and the assistant town manager, where we were presented with a long-term view of the town budget. And there were other people representing other committees, including the finance committee and parks and rec. The main impacts, they seem to think that the main budget gap was because of the police contract, which is 2.5 million. We get 2 policemen at night and 2 in the daytime. My concern was that we didn't really have oversight as to whether they were doing their job. So I asked about traffic enforcement and suggested that they got the speed testing done, because every 5 years the town has to have speed testing, and then you take the 85th percentile of the traffic, that becomes the speed limit in the absence of any serious accidents. Anyway, there was a sort of reluctance on the part of the deputy town manager for running a speed test, because the thought was that it might push the speed limits up. And so the police won't enforce the speeding laws as long as there's no speed test. And so then the next thing is engineering the roads, which is very expensive, because another impact is another impact is on the road surfacing, that there's not going to be as good road surfing as we've had in the past because of the budget. My suggestion was that they look at sources of revenue rather than trying to cut the police costs, because I wasn't so worried about the police costs. What I was worried about was that we weren't getting value for money because of the inactivity, or the perceived inactivity, of the deputies that come to the town. So the other thing is, the town cannot afford to run events, and the town people want more events. And so the committee has been asked, do we want to run an event at the town centre? So that's something for us to consider.
What kind of event?
Well, the kind of event we might have is, we might want to do a long distance circulation plan for the town and ask people what they think about for certain improvements that we might suggest. That could be one kind of event we could do. The other suggestion was that when there's a palooza or something like that, maybe we should have booths at the town palooza to educate the public. That might be something else we could do.
Thank you, Angela. That's some very good points. I think as a corollary comment, and regarding police coverage and things, we have got our new captain assigned to us, Brandon Hensel, and Kevin and I are trying to arrange Darcy Smith to have a meeting with him and get things more aligned in terms of what we're looking to see from the Sheriff's Department on the ground here in PV.
Yeah, Darcy did suggest that I could meet with him too. I'm not sure if that's going to solve our problems.
I think anybody is welcome to join that meeting. So
It's an informal meeting.
yeah, that's right. It's get to know you and start to discuss things. I wouldn't cover any, any specific elements of operations or anything like that. Okay. Do we have any further oral communications or comments for items that are not on our agenda? Nothing seen from the committee. I don't see anyone online. So I will move on, and I have to interject an apology here because I was not able and forgot to do the minutes. So we do not have minutes from last month's meeting. I apologize for that. Completely oversight on my part. But I will say I've had a long course through work and been the previous week chair on a conference committee. So I've had almost no time to work on stuff. But I will attempt to put 2 sets of minutes together for approval for the next meeting. Again, so apologies for that. That would bring us on to item 4, which would be going into our sheriff's report. Nick, I know you sent the documents through. Thank you. Again, I was late in requesting those, so they didn't make it to the agenda packet, but I do have them and I can circulate and share with the town. So Nick, if you're still online, please give us the rundown.
Yeah, and that's something that I just want to follow up with you. It seems like reporting out is getting a little bit harder the way the months are falling in the first Friday of the month or for the meeting. For example, like yesterday was the end of the month, and then we're presenting today. So we can get together, but again, that's the reason for my report being later as well, because I couldn't pull the numbers until yesterday. But on a note, we had another busy month for citations for April. There was 42 citations issued, moving citations, 2 parking citations, 0 bicycle citations, and we had 0 traffic collisions for the month of April.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any further questions for Nick, please?
I have a question. And Nick,
Yes.
we have a lot of driverless cars coming out here. And what is the philosophy of the department? If there's an accident, who receives a citation in that driverless car?
So that would be, it'd be the party at fault. So the driverless car does not take away from I'm assuming you're referring to Waymos, correct? Or
We have several out here now.
okay. Yeah, so in that situation, if the driverless car is found at fault, the company would be responsible for it. But that would just be, it's investigated like any other traffic collision to determine what party's at fault, either the driverless or the driver car at this in this situation. But there is just because it's driverless doesn't mean there's not a party that can be found at fault.
So who gets the point?
I'm that part I'm not quite sure on how it goes to, but the company would be financially liable. But as far as the points on a record or that side of things, I'm not quite sure.
That's what I'm concerned about. Is the CEO, is the board? There's an operator of that car somewhere. And according to the Department of Motor Vehicles, if you're negligent, you can receive that 1 point of violation or moving violation.
Right, and that point in reality will affect your insurance rates, correct? And so it's so in that situation, again, Waymo or these companies are their insurance policies handle that and cover that part of it. So it eventually, yes, they're we're in a unique situation with these. It's not like it's new technology all around. I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of the Waymo cars or the self-driverless cars. I'm sorry, I keep on using the Waymo, but I do understand there's other companies out there as well. But yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I could look into it and see where we can get better research on that or better information. I know the companies do come out and present to law enforcement, including the sheriff's office, on how to respond to collisions, how to direct the vehicles if there's a road closure due to an emergency situation, how to access the cars. So we do receive training on that. I personally have not attended that training. But as far as the financial liability at a collision, it's kind of above me right now.
I understand the SR 15. The question, basically, I was on West Ridge the other day and this vehicle was coming toward me, it was driverless. And it looks like he was capturing more of the road than I was actually.
Were you, and you were in a vehicle or were you on a bicycle?
In my truck.
Okay. So you're just saying, the vehicle was more towards the center line than I guess staying to the furthest right side of the roadway, correct?
Yeah, until the cameras finally caught me, I guess. And finally it kind of positioned itself on the right side of the road.
Yes. I've ran into that same situation on El Camino, going up and down, and all of a sudden you see them kind of drifting a little left. Again, it's newer technology. I think as a society, we're all accepting it, and we're accepting that it is technology, and that's why they're out there and have approval to move. But the best thing I could do is if there's as the driver, best thing to do would stay to the furthest side of the roadway, to avoid a collision if there is a malfunction.
Thank you.
Chair, could I add something about the regulations
Yeah, please go ahead.
on vehicles?
Yeah.
Great. Hi, good morning. So just so you know, for reporting of incidents, once the autonomous vehicles are out of their testing period, there's no reporting required right now by the CPUC. And the CPUC is the regulatory agency of these vehicles. I also am concerned because it's costing taxpayer money. TechCrunch did a great article on it about how when there are problems, like when they lost power in San Francisco and they all stopped down, it was our public safety officers and public works departments who went out and got them off the streets, right? So, and that's at taxpayer money. When there was the fire on 280, and the Waymo was stuck, again, it was public safety officers who had to deal with it. So I just wanted to publicly state what my understanding of the current situation is, and my speaking personally, my recognition that there's a lack of regulation over those areas personally. But again, that's my personal belief. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So just to clarify that, at the moment, they have an obligation to report issues and citations. Is that right? But that's going to go away.
So it's for safety issues that were reportable, like it was during their testing period.
Right.
And once they're done testing, so for instance, the stop signs on the buses, if you heard about that issue, but the autonomous vehicles were not stopping at the stop signs on yellow school buses. There's no reporting required, right? And that was this is across the country. So that was in Atlanta and Arizona that it was being seen, and press was watching and reported. The press reported it. So the companies right now have no regulatory requirements. There was a federal bill. I haven't been tracking the federal bill that would require some reporting. But I don't know what's happened with that federal bill. And California has no requirements on that. So for instance, Rivian now has introduced a autonomous feature, and that's on commercial, right? That's not testing. So it is new technology, and so when we have a reactive government system, not proactive. So just so that you guys, and I appreciate our sergeant and what you guys are doing on the road, but just so everyone is aware of the situation with this new technology.
No, thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely.
That's useful to know. What might be interesting is to look at the during the testing period, the number of incidents compared to the normal average for drivers, just to get a picture of how big that
80% less.
80% less.
Yeah, and actually, I've had good comments from people that they actually keep to the speed limit here.
Just, I would just remind people that what's being reported is often from the companies themselves, right? So, recognize that. Thank you.
Thanks. There's still a lot about this to unpack, I think, as it evolves or develops. Yeah. Okay, thank you. If we don't have anything further for Nick, we'll say thank you, Nick. Have a good weekend, and I hope we'll see you next time. If not, some meeting before then.
Sounds great. Have a good one.
Thank you. Moving on to our next items. I do actually need to reach out to Robert and see if he's more available to give us an in-person public update, because nothing has been happening for at least the last, well, I think, have we seen him this year? Maybe once this year. And it's not the same track record we had with Howard. Oh. Thank you. All right. Offline. Noted. By way of a public works update, I think Kevin and I have been putting the speed trailer into operation. It's now fully repaired and working. We got the charging system working, and I think our last test deployment by Los Trancos Road, we got nearly 4 weeks of operation with the solar and battery.
And it's got a new message about keeping to the speed limit, and people are pleased with that.
Does it? Oh, interesting.
By Presbyterian Church.
Yes, yeah. So I've had feedback already that
Great,
people are
good.
really pleased with the
Yeah,
situation of it.
so we moved
They
it.
think
forward.
they think it's calming the traffic on.
I think that may
Portola Road.
actually be a legacy message, because I still haven't figured out how to reprogram it. And I'm the only person who has the computer that will do that. So that's a lucky happenstance, but I'm glad it's working.
I thought it might be an idea to add a note on the signs as far as like last month where someone came in and the dog got killed. Rest in peace, so-and-so dog. And the day,
As a cat.
or the cat,
Cat.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went like with the mountain lion killed, what
Yeah.
the date was, cause, high speeds, and we could do it in short, abbreviated terminology, but that way people know what's actually going on.
Yeah, let me look into that. I need to master the software.
Yeah.
But first I need to break into the computer.
We plan to have that as soon as possible. Pat.
But the software will let you arrange your messages and shows you how it will display on the signboard, because it only has a very limited number of characters. So
But you could do RIP Fluffy or whatever the name of that cat was.
I'm sorry.
Rosie.
Rosie. Yes, you
I mean,
could.
that would actually add a little bit of interest. People might read those. Like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,
I mean,
Rosie."
to configure that properly, it becomes a little bit like so it's actually kind of fun to do, to think about, because you want a kind of 1, 2, 3 punch to it with short words.
Okay.
All right, thank you. That's a good idea, though. Thank you, Pat. So I'll move on then from Public Works to our ongoing committee business, and I rather filled this out this month around because there's quite a lot going on. First on our agenda is item 6A, and that is to discuss this committee's support for the Open Space Committee's letter to the Mid-Peninsula Open Space Trust in connection with the plans for access and parking to the Woods property, or what is becoming known as the Hawthorns.
Absolutely.
There is a letter. I hope you've all read
Right
it. I know you have. Thank you. So I think we'd like to go down the committee one by one. Give me your thoughts on the letter and your thoughts on our response to it.
Sure.
Then if it's agreeable, we'll propose a motion to vote on approving that and take a vote.
Well, we spent a lot of time on this Hawthorne project and gone through so many iterations. And now after everything is done and open space is looking at the environmental and social impact of developing that area, they're coming back to us and saying that they think we should go ahead with this plan. Basically, they don't want us to do it. And in order for that to happen, we are going to have to, their verbiage is very strong. They're not candy coating this. But what has to happen is the town manager, the town council have to get on board. Open space wants ultimately for Portola Valley to buy that property. That's what they want. And of course, with our financial situation, that's always, who knows, but open space has a reputation for being very generous as far as being able to buy properties. The interest rate is astoundingly low. And they make it so that it is manageable to purchase these things over a long period of time. So I really think we need to follow their recommendations, involve the town manager, get council involved. One way or the other, we have to have council. And the town council has to get involved, and we need to look at this quickly. And we need to look at it as far as that impact. And what they're saying is it will basically ruin the integrity of Portola Valley.
You mean in the case that the parking lot options 9, 10, or 11 were to go
Right.
ahead as they've been pictured in the draft
Right.
plans? Yeah.
So the plan is to change the three-way intersection at Portola Road and Alpine Road into a four-way stop.
Mhm.
Huge impact. That's huge. Then they're putting in a parking lot with 50 cars with berms and walls and roadways and all tree removal. It's major in what we are accustomed to looking at as a beautiful field. Gone. All of it's gone. After that, the development to make that intersection good, and we've talked about it, putting in a circle, putting in more impact, more.
And that would be direct cost to the town as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they assessed the situation and said, we don't think this is a good idea. We don't think it's a good idea to develop Hawthorne. So that's my
I'm sorry, yes, when you say they, you mean the open space committee?
open space.
Thank you. Just for clarification.
Yeah,
on the record.
absolutely.
Angela,
I certainly think the parking is a big concern.
Yeah.
Let me, I certainly think the parking's a good big concern, and that it was actually almost mentioned as a joke buying at the meeting to go with the town budget. Like, there's no way we'd buy that. What are they thinking? So I think the chances of the town buying the property, what do we want it for? Just for walking trails?
To preserve our integrity.
Yeah, to keep it looking rural. I certainly think that there should be no parking seen from Alpine Road. But yeah, I think there's going to be serious environmental impact, and that we could support the letter.
thank you, Angela.
I support the letter. I'm with Carter Ward, Jackie, Nona, Terry, Kelly, Betsy, and Gary. Several reasons. One is the ingress and egress of the community. We're running about 10 to 11,000 cars now on Alpine Road. Not only that, the town is in dire straits financially. I don't think we need another burden on the town. We have enough to worry about with the sheriff's contract right now. And there's other problems besides that. I don't think we need 50 parking spaces. I think we need more bicyclists out here, more pedestrians out here, but we don't need the vehicles. I don't know how to stop that. Maybe we have to do like Alpine Inn, where they have shuttles from Ford Field down to the restaurant. We have to come up with another solution. We don't need a four-way intersection up there at Alpine and Portola Road, that's for sure. And with the rest of the committee here, the Portola Valley Open Space Committee, and I agree with their letter.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, I will add my 2 pennies to this. I'm very much in favor of supporting the letter by the Open Space Committee. I think the plans that we've seen develop as Mid-Penn's vision for the site are completely contrary to preserving the environmental nature of the site. It would drive a coach and horses literally through, one of the prettiest little areas of the site, and you'd lose a lot of the beautiful visual impact or non-impact that we have, and replace that with something very, very different.
On the other hand, I would say that if there is
Actually,
going to,
I'm sorry, may I complete my comment? Thank you. And then on the matter of reorganizing that for traffic safety, that would put a very large financial burden on the town that would not be covered by any other body to change that intersection. And changes like that are not inexpensive. We'd probably be looking at, I don't know, come up with a figure to add a driveway, remark the intersection, do the safety study, and I can see that costing a lot. A lot of money that we don't have. So exploring options to acquire the property, I'd be very much in favor of that. And this involves, petitioning to the council, seeking legal counsel and the funding to do that, so that we could negotiate that in the right way. And it would involve not only purchasing the property, but protecting it so that it remains open space.
having said that, if there's a car park, I think it should be a large car park, but maybe a better mitigation would be to enlarge the Windy Hill car park and not have a car park at all there.
I think all of those ideas have been discussed, but it's been very difficult to get engagement from Mid-Penn on anything other than a vision that their planning team and their internal committees have had. And that has been the difficult thing. We've spent a lot of time in apparent engagement with them, but having a significant influence has been challenging. Helen, you have a comment? Absolutely, yes.
Good morning, Helen Walter, speaking not as a council member, not representing the council, right? So obviously this item is agendized, my understanding is in 2 weeks. But I want as our transportation committee, for some of the ideas that you guys have brought up, like parking elsewhere, transportation, TDM, demand management ideas have not been discussed, is what I've seen, right? Like to encourage people to ride more bikes. What are they doing to incentivize biking? Is the parking in the correct place? Are there other opportunities? Like with our Corona Madera parking lot is wide open on the weekends, right? Why do we not? Why, like things like that. So, or, in a roundabout potentially, like community benefit, but where else could there be parking? So as the Portola Valley's transportation committee, I hope that you guys consider what they could do to incentivize. Shuttles are exorbitantly expensive, but they're going to have 3 sites with El Mirador, Windy Hill, and Hawthorns. That's going to be a long-term connectivity. We're going to have a lot of people here with a lot of parking needs. So what are they going to do long-term? And I do not, for transportation demand management, to incentivize not using cars, to encourage carpooling, to encourage biking and that kind of idea. What have they done to try to create parking agreements with other public agencies and partnerships in the community? Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. You bring up some good points. Okay, one comment to that. I'm wondering now if Mid-Penn ever does a survey of the miles traveled by visitors to their sites, because I think that is probably significant. And likely in the minds of most people would preclude using alternative transportation means to access it. but I'm putting words in their mouth. So
I am very surprised that they want to sell the land to Portola Valley it long term. And the reason I say this is because of the bare redwoods near Lexington Reservoir. There's some stables there which could be sold to the people who look after the stables. And Mid-Penn wants to hang on to the land because land is extremely on the land. And so I'm very surprised about that.
absolutely, yeah. It seems almost unprecedented for them to consider something like that. But that's really, well, we could talk about this all day, I'm sure, and have some very good ideas. But our purpose today is to show or otherwise our support for the letter.
And how do we do that?
So if we are in agreement, I would propose a motion vote to support this letter. And I see Betsy Morgenthaler is online here. She could guide us in what our next step might be to ensure that this endorsement carries some weight. So perhaps before we hold that, Betsy, do you have a comment for us, please?
How do you do, Ed, and committee? Thank you very much. I've been listening with great interest. I'm sorry that I thought you started at 9 o'clock because I don't attend regularly and then noticed. So I leave in your trusty hands what kind of motion you want to propose. You're very good at that, so I'm not going to suggest that piece of it, but just to say both your support and your valuable input and discussion this morning. This is additive. We need the voices of all of our committees to look at things from various perspectives. I would only want to correct the misimpression. Mid-Penn is not engaged in conversations with the town. Mid-Penn has not expressed interest in selling, and the only reason why some of us came around to considering it was that in this arduous process that we've gone through, as they turn to the public with the Public Access Working Group, the POG, 3 years ago now, it has been a gradual, slow-moving train, but it has not incorporated the kinds of ideas that the town has come up with, including at the ad hoc meeting in October 2024. So they're patient listeners, but it doesn't seem to move the needle. And after proposing a number of different alternatives that weren't acted upon meaningfully, we have kind of tossed our hands up and thought, well, if this doesn't work, namely considering the use of the very flat terrain on Los Trancos, accessible on Los Trancos, nor would off-site parking, would they consider that? They flat out turned down the idea of no parking, that parking would be off-site, said they would, in that case, decline to open the preserve. And so that's the point where, at a loss, we thought, the Open Space Committee, members of the Open Space Committee thought, well, what if we approach them to discuss the acquisition? So they have not responded to that, and I completely concur with you. It would be a highly, highly unusual move for them to do so. But we arrived at it, as I said, they're out of a sense of what now.
Thank you, Betsy, for clarifying those points. I think my real question to you was, we will take a vote here. I suspect that will pass without any opposition from the panel in this room. What would you like us to do next to make sure that support is fully endorsed and visible?
I think that a co-signature, we can certainly redraft the letter with the BPTS's co-signature, sending that co-signature to the town staff and town council with dispatch, because you may or may not have noticed that yesterday afternoon late there was a posting by Mid-Penn of a special study session on Hawthorns for this Wednesday at 5 p.m. That's in addition to the May 13th meeting. There's a lengthy agenda there full of their approaches. I think I can add at this point that they're considering, they've said this before, that they would consider doing a partial parking lot. They would grade and would do all the grading for the full 50 car parking lot, but they would open only half of that much. And so they're showing two different approaches to that partial parking lot. Of course, if you're going to do all the grading, it hardly makes a difference. But that is on the agenda. Lots of more detailed information there for you to explore. So that means that there will be an opportunity to show up in person at that meeting on May the 6th at 5 p.m. And I would encourage anybody who could to attend, and if not attend, do so remotely and to speak.
Okay, thank you very much, Betsy. I think that is that certainly these, what to do for our support is very clear. And I will include in our vote that we would agree to be co-signees on the letter so that we're very clear about the action we're taking here. Just one slight aside, I know one thing that did get a sliver of light was the idea of working up trails but not developing parking straight away. I don't know if there is still any support for that idea
Within the
among
town?
the Mid-Penn planners.
Oh, among Mid-Penn. No, that was the one at the most recent PNR meeting, that's Planning and Natural Resources meeting that they held on March 17th. I've put forward that idea. It's one that the Trails and Paths Committee also supports, which is let's open it without parking. And that was the one that the response to that was immediate and absolutely we will not do that. We serve 750,000 people in our wider community and we need to provide them parking. So we will not be opening the preserve without parking.
All right, got it. Thank you. That's very clear.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. I want to thank you all as well.
Thank you, Betsy. Okay, without further ado, then I'd like to propose that we hold a vote on supporting the letter and agreeing to be co-signees as this is forwarded to town staff and onto Mid-Peninsula Open Space in support of the town's proposal to take an alternative path with the property.
I'll second that.
Okay. So in which case, can we have a show of hands, please? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimously carried. So thank you, Betsy. Yeah, we certainly would endorse this, and that motion is carried. So continue to endorse and co-sign. If I should write a formal email to the chair and let them know BPTS's decision, and I will do that and copy the town manager and our council liaison. So thank you very much. I think that is the very least we can do to support in ensuring that we see a good outcome on this. All right, let's move on to our next agenda item. This came up to me as item 6B, introducing State Bill 707 and a brief discussion therein. So this is a proposed change, actually incoming change to the rules for non-decision making meetings, like committee meetings and small planning meetings, to change the access that you're allowed to have. So it would open up things to remote access, say for our meeting. So the way Darcy described it to me, it would be for non-decision making committees. So that would be, committees that are in a purely advisory or recommendatory status. However, there being one small fly in the ointment that I was asking for clarification on, is we do have one decision-making, what's the word, responsibility. And that is where the planning commission comes to us with proposed driveway changes. And we make a formal executive decision on, is this change to a property's driveways acceptable or not acceptable? I think we've had about 4 incidences of this over the last 12 years or whatever it is that we've been a committee. So watch this space, but it is possible that for at least some of our meetings, we'd be allowed to join by Zoom and be more flexible in our schedule, and ability to attend the meetings. So that's what State Bill 707 encompasses, is more relaxed rules on remote access to meetings and remote participation. There's kind of an informational piece, but as things there change and I get more clarification, I will update, let you know. And I guess if that's true, the town staff will also let us know what the situation is. Okay, after that we have item 6C, which I leave in as a placeholder for safe routes to school. I don't know if this, and we don't have a person for safe routes to school. So keep that moving. I mean, I can reach out to the school superintendent again and say anything.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I do at least have a contact for them, and Roberta is usually responsive. But even if they do get a safe routes person, it quite often changes around, and it's very hard to maintain the contact, is what we've found in the past.
Their kids move on.
That's right. That's right.
Would it be possible to get someone, not a parent, but a faculty or staff member? They have more longevity.
I think that's a
Not
good idea. I think that, yeah, we can ask. I think it's a question to ask.
Well, we gotta do something.
We do. I mean, it's absurd that we can't, with all the potential volunteers and spare time and that I know people have in PV, that there's nobody able to do this.
Maybe instead of it being safe routes to school and just having it focused on the kids, we redefine it to safe routes.
Yeah, I mean,
get more people interested.
Safe Routes is a particular campaign. Yeah. So I think the idea is to be within the umbrella of that particular program.
Well, the important thing is that we apply for grants when there are grants to improve the trails, because the trail signage could be improved.
Yeah.
And we have no one to write the grant.
That's right. So, but would Roberta be the right person to be on our committee and just come here?
Let me make an approach and discuss that. I would like to say something like BPTS is keen to engage with school school district, and reprise, maintain, and show interest in safe routes and general safety of students traveling to and from school. As simple as that, and see where that leads us. I don't think it's going to be easy to go in with any particularly prescribed ideas of what we want them to do. We just want to engage at this stage, see what comes out of that. Okay, thank you. Item 6C.
I have a question. Oh, going back to safe routes.
Go ahead.
Do you know if they still have the crossing guards, Ed, or any of you?
Certainly in the afternoon, yes, they do.
Woodside
Patrol, yeah.
Still there?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I see them. Items,
Who's funding?
not sure.
That was some question that was at the budget committee, is that the school seems to have a surplus and the town seems to have a loss, and the town seems to pay for some things for the school. So the question is, why couldn't the school pay for everything?
It's a very good question. I don't want to get into that here.
Well, there are laws actually.
Yeah.
That towns have to give so much money for education, and that's actually what I saw as the bigger cost than the police.
Well, I mean, some of the town revenue must go to the school district to do.
That's right,
Whatever
by law.
whatever it does to run things, but I don't know what the school district does with that assignment of money, of course, is, I mean, it's
They're
very
building
likely
up the
regulated.
reserves. They can build up the reserves.
Well, yeah, but oh, so let's see what we can do. Just re-engaging with the school superintendent, I think, and see where that leads us. I leave an item on here. This is item 6D for our alternative transport infrastructure subcommittee. I don't, have you guys worked on anything in the last month?
Well, the county, is working on guidelines for alternatives transport and stuff. But I think as far as being a town, what some towns are doing is saying, we're having this company for ride sharing, and it'd be good to have, if we had rental bikes, that people can just ride. But I mean, that's what the committee sort of, in a way, should be about. Like, do we have Lime bikes, or do we have these kind of bikes, or do we have a scooter stand? And actually, I actually went to the library and asked, do people rent the bicycle there? Because there's a bicycle you can get free from the library. And they said occasionally people take it for a short ride. But it's, having a Lime bike or something to go down to the train station in Menlo Park or Palo Alto is, I think, not what we would do here. So I actually think that the whole thing about having micro mobility and rental as a town, and have a policy for that, maybe the policy is that we don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
And do we want scooters going up and down our sidewalks?
First thing I want to know is liability cost.
Well, I mean, you have it by the. I mean, you just let another company come in, right? So you let another company come in, and the only question is should we lease any of our land? I mean, it's a way to bring in revenue to the town, to lease land to someone like Uber who has bikes. I mean, do we want to do that?
Yeah. Well, yes, I understand. Not yes, do we want to do that necessarily? But what would be the implications of doing that? And what are the use cases that we would see for putting a facility like that?
And do we want to even pursue that as a committee? Do we need the subcommittee? Is my question.
Would anyone use it?
I think that is.
I do think if we had scooters, if we had a rack for scooters here, I do think people would take them, and I think it would cause a lot of chaos.
Of all the things to have out there, scooters would be my lowest choice.
Yeah, but that's what towns are thinking about when they're doing micro mobility.
Yes.
Yeah. Should we have scooter racks, or should we have the kinds that you can park anywhere and just leave lying around? Because some have to go to a rack, and some can just lie anywhere.
Here's the problem, Angela, I think, is finance. These companies don't want to come out here when they're only going to rent one bike a month, 2 bikes a month, or 5 bikes a month. I already talked to a few people about this already. And we do need a small type of convenience for elderly people. We know that for a fact. But these companies, they need the revenue. That's what it's all about. They're not going to send somebody picking up these 4 or 5 bikes up around from Menlo Park, Redwood City, wherever they go to the train station or whatever, because it costs them for the personnel to retrieve them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's not an appropriate thing for us to have on our thing. I think what we might want to do instead is just encourage people to have their own bikes and have a bike swap meeting.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, one thing that did come up to me,
They've got driverless cars, which we may have different opinions about them. I just think they're absolutely fantastic and they're doing a great job.
Okay.
Having taken one to the mall and back, it was fantastic.
It's very expensive. $50.
They can't make decisions.
I think they're making better decisions than a lot of drivers, and John just brought one up.
I saw that one coming toward me.
Yeah, but it didn't hit you.
A lot of drivers are not very good. We took a lift to the airport at Christmas, and the guy nearly missed a turning off 280 to 380 because he
I
was
almost
stoned.
got killed twice this week going down the switchbacks of Los Trancos, and those were drivers. So every modality has its dangers.
It does.
They had one last week, I don't know if you saw it, an Alpine Inn, Alpine Inn, and it's stuck.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, right, perhaps we could move along. That was alternative transport. Speed trailer update, we kind of did in lieu of public works, so I'm gonna skip along over that. Thank you. I'll leave alternative infrastructure on the agenda if that's agreeable, unless you.
Do you think the alternative infrastructure we should be looking at is self-driving cars or something like that?
Sort of micro mobility or. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I mean, we can keep abreast of what the county wants, but
in fact, well,
I just don't see us doing anything in this town as a public organization providing micro mobility. I just don't see us doing that. I see
No.
people having their own bikes, having their own scooters, and there may be regulations on that, but that's a different thing. That's a different thing from a policy to have micro mobility in the town.
Yeah,
would
one of
you
the,
be willing to come back next meeting with a kind of thought document on where you think that would be most?
Sure, and I can update you on what the county's doing and what they're thinking about.
All right, that'd be
They've got committees working on
Yeah.
that.
I think that'd be very productive.
I
Yeah,
can
thank
tell you what other towns are doing too. I mean, other
Well-
towns, you know, like Millbrae and
Yeah.
places. have
Yeah.
bikes.
Ray Mueller and also Jackie Spear had a few meetings already on micromobility.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is they can't move forward because the state is coming down with new guidelines. As soon as those are put in,
That's right.
then we'll be able to move with our town according to the county and the state.
Okay, yeah, well, please, yeah, look into all of that, and if you're able to report back and give us some more insight,
Okay.
that would be wonderful, because I think that would be a useful direction to have a discussion. That would take us out of our regular committee business into events, and there's quite a lot on the event calendar here. Actually, we have PV Palooza is coming up on Saturday, 29th of August. I will be able to help a little with the preamble on this. I'm not sure about on the day because we are traveling. So watch this space. I will let you know as soon as I'm able to give you a.
There
picture.
was just a talk at this budget meeting of would we want people to have booths there because it's a good chance to educate people, and think more than anything else, our committee, we really could tell a lot of people how to
Yep.
bike properly, how to do things. And I think we need to get the Palooza people to get more people to come on their bikes, or maybe run a bike valet to encourage people, because the parking is just terrible. It overwhelms the town.
Yeah, and it didn't need to. So part of this discussion will be to have a better policy on how we control the parking.
Yeah.
And how we channel people to, if we're fortunate enough to have the overflow park at the Windy Hill Meadow, then ensure that the most number of people make use of that, because it was chronically underused last year. Because I mean, I know
I have an
public,
idea.
public opinion is
We have to fill up that particular area.
Yeah.
And transport the people down to the main event. And I was thinking maybe we should have a temporary 25-mile-an-hour speed limit between that corridor of Windy Hill parking and the town center. Because 35 miles an hour in there now. Now, if you lower it down to 25 miles per hour, we can use golf carts.
yeah.
So they could, like Pat said, transport some of those people with the 8-passenger golf cart up and down on the Portola Road.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just an idea. I don't know if we can go ahead and get the town to
a good
approve
thought.
a temporary 25-mile-an-hour speed limit law just between that corridor. But it's just an idea.
We had a couple of ride shares on the hook last year to get people to and fro, and that was pretty well used. But we didn't see anywhere near the capacity use of that.
No, maybe we
Parking
should
last
make that the main car park.
Yeah, well, I think I'll communicate that I'll talk to John Badger. I bumped into him on a hike a couple of weeks ago and say, look, put some, if you're able to secure that access again, find a way to word it so that is the primary parking, or give people an incentive to do it somehow. I don't know, but because that would take a real load off. Okay, very good. Also coming up on May 16th is the horse fair. Definitely alternative transport, and always a fun thing to come and attend. So I very much encourage you to enjoy that. And you'll very likely get to meet Mary Hofty and see some fun stuff. I did learn there is now a date for the town picnic. Yes, somebody mentioned it to me. I think it's middle of September.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Is it like the 15th or the? Okay. I will be away, so I cannot help with the town picnic this year. So I will be able to line up the coordination for Zots to Tots, but I won't be able to do the coordination.
I can help.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing is, I think we knew about this already, but Helen had sent me a thing reminding me that Bike Silicon Valley will do bike education classes. I don't know if we have to pay for that or if it's something that they do as a sort of just turn up and do a regular service. But I think that's something we definitely we can explore, perhaps to coincide with maybe coincide with the picnic or make a special event. So if somebody's willing to go and look at the link, and the link is a Google, I think it was a Google form, so it'll be worth going directly to the Bike Silicon Valley site, making contact with somebody
I'll do
there.
that.
Could you do that, Pat? Thank you very much. All right, that's great. I don't have any other matters arising, so if there is nothing else,
There is another matter, which is our signage for animals, right?
We have to talk to Helen about this, because that's our next move.
Yeah.
As far as being able to get things lined up with, we've got a lot of other people that we have to talk to before we can move forward. And Helen is a
Yeah.
key person. So now she's back. Well, I'll make an appointment with her.
it's going to be probably agreed through ASCC, a small budget allowed for it, and all those other good things. So
Good. We're gonna need more money. We're gonna have to do a fundraiser.
yep.
But that's.
But I think we could, if we put out an appeal for a benefactor for that, I think that wouldn't be too difficult.
But we just need to know how to do it within the town.
Yes, we do.
So that's
we
what-
need guidance from Helen on that.
Yeah, we don't, I just don't know what the proper steps are in
Yeah.
order to organize this. That's why we need her.
No,
Well, I actually just said to Darcy that, we're thinking of signage for making this like a nature area.
Yeah.
And she started going on about the municipal code for signage. And I said, no, we would think of it more as public art, because we don't have public art here.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different
oh, yeah.
ball of work. I said it's like having the hearts in the street in San Francisco and things like that.
Sign-
And if we put
Right.
it down like that, then I think we have much more chance of approval, because otherwise, if we get into the uniform code for
Yeah,
signage,
Caltrain.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree completely.
So I do have one more matter arising. Right after I sent the agenda to the town, the financial planner contacted me and said, we haven't had a budget from BPTS. Please put a budget together by the 15th. So although this is not agendized, yeah, in fact, I've actually shied away from us having a budget. We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
we need new flags to replace the flag.
We need a few signs. If we're gonna attend any of these events, we need a budget.
Okay.
So let's put in, I'll do a budget, but we need.
Do we have
something
$500
for-
one time?
like
Yeah, I think that-
$500. We don't need a fortune,
No,
but we need something.
miscellaneous, yeah.
Say $500 and
Yeah,
say
that's
call
what we
like
want.
publicity materials for.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not asking.
I don't think we should get into the provision of equipment. Personally, I think that should be either
It should be
provided by the
part of
town or.
Public Works.
Yeah.
But whether it's on the Public Works budget or not, I'm not so sure.
I mean, I agree with the sentiment and the idea, but I don't think that's the place for a committee to.
This Palmer won $500.
I will communicate that, and if that's agreeable, I'm sorry that wasn't agendized, but it came, like a day after I put the agenda in.
Okay, yeah, then we
But
have
I
a budget.
did want to bring that up. Okay, and if there's nothing else, I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Ed.
much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Now,